My name is Jeff Steitz, and I'm the founder of the social clothing brand Serengetee. And what we do is we incorporate global fabrics onto all sorts of different products. So 5-panel hats, pocket t-shirts, bags, you name it. And each fabric we sell is partnered with a grassroots cause from around the world. And so we're not only able to help fabric makers, but also organizations in over 30 different countries. And so, as you can imagine, I spend a lot of my time meeting our causes, but also sourcing fabric. And I'm abroad most of the time. In fact, my co-founder Ryan and Ryan has a selfie problem. He takes selfies all over the place. We backpacked to over 50 countries each in the last couple of years, all while building one of the fastest growing clothing brands in the country, a brand that's been able to give back nearly $300,000 to our fabric makers and cause partners. But we're also kind of troublemakers, because as far as brands go, we don't follow any of the rules. For example, we don't have any offices. Like this table on a beach in Thailand is our cubicle. And we ditched any kind of 9-to-5 or vacation day policy because honestly, it doesn't make any sense to us. But most surprisingly is we actually consciously choose to give back a piece of our hard-earned revenue to causes and fabric makers we believe in, like Rosa and her mother here in Guatemala. And so if you ask most investors about this strategy, they'll tell you we're nuts. But if you ask me what we've done to succeed or how we got Serengetee off the ground, I tell you that it was our ability to veer off track, to be totally unconventional that won out in the end. And I call this breaking free. And so today I want to tell you my story, the Serengetee story, and focus on the major turning points that allowed me to break free and hopefully get some of you into that same mindset. And so before we continue, there's one thing you should probably know about me, which is that I actually invented the crop top back in '94. This was clearly the start of my future in fashion and fabric. Yeah, so I was born in Manhattan, and younger brother, older sister, and both of my parents had started successful businesses, and so I was always very entrepreneurial. I was always starting these little get-rich-quick schemes that were basically getting money off of my parents. And the reason was I wanted to make a lot of money. Because I had this equation in my head that money equaled success, and success equaled happiness. So if I had a ton of money, I would be like the happiest guy ever, right? And so when I found out how much money people made on Wall Street, I was instantly hooked. And if you know anything about Wall Street or getting to Wall Street, you know that the path is pretty clear cut. And so this was going to be my path. And sure enough, I worked really hard and in high school, and I got into one of the top Wall Street feeder schools, top finance schools in the country, Claremont McKenna College out in LA. And so here I am, 18 years old, cruising. I mean, I'm right on track to do exactly what I'd always wanted to do. And then sophomore year rolls around, and my roommate tells me about semester at sea. And semester at sea, for all of you that don't know, is a study abroad program. It's kind of ridiculous. It's on a cruise ship. And you take classes on the boat, and it takes you around the world to 10 different countries, and it lets you off to backpack with essentially no restrictions. And so I said, if I'm going to go full steam down this finance path, I at least owe it to myself to see the world, to experience something new. And so I did the only logical thing I could do, and I basically put my life on hold. I put my friends on hold, great college, sunny California, and I went on this round-the-world trip. And really what I was doing was I was getting out of my comfort zone. And this turned out to be the first, but also the most important step towards breaking free. Because when you're in your comfort zone, you have tunnel vision, right? The only direction you can see is straight ahead. And it takes getting out of that zone to be able to evaluate your life from above, right? And so the first couple ports we were in were going to be Morocco and Ghana, and up until this point, I'd only been in Europe. And so this was totally new ground for me, but I was making a point of it to check out one market in every country, get to know one artisan in every country, and barter for stuff, because I thought bartering was fun. The problem was I was really terrible at it at first, and so I spent $400 of my mom's money on a carpet in Morocco, and I thought I was getting a good deal because the guy said 700. Turns out it was not a real carpet. But I honed my skills, and I went down to Ghana and I bought this amazing, colorful wax print fabric. And it was the same fabric that helped inspire Serengeti a couple months later. And as much fun as I was having, going to these markets and doing all this, what I was really doing was I was finding what made me come alive. And when I talk about finding what makes you come alive, I'm not talking about what your friends, or your family, or your college professor tell you you should be doing or you'd be good at. No, it's that thing that you feel compelled to do. It's that thing that you've wanted to do since you were 10 years old, that you're always excited about doing. And the best way I've ever heard it put is it's that one thing you can't not do. And so for me, this thing was backpacking and traveling, but it was also going to these markets, and it was also helping artisans. And the only problem for me was that I was going home soon. This voyage was coming to an end, and I was scared now about getting pushed back into that finance track that I had been on for so long. And even though I was in countries like India and Vietnam and Ghana, pretty difficult countries, the real culture shock for me was going to happen when I got back home, because I was starting to realize that everything popular is wrong. And what I mean by that is the way that we lived our lives, the way that we planned our futures, made no sense to me because it was all dominated by work and money. And think about it. We spend the best hours of our days from 8 in the morning to 6 at night either going to or being at work. And we spend our days at work in uncomfortable offices, in uncomfortable clothes, and we do this 50 or 51 weeks out of the year from the day we graduate college to this mystical, mysterious time called retirement. And as much as I wanted to be like this guy, at 80 years old skydiving, I didn't want to bank on that. And I wanted a piece of the action earlier on. I wanted to travel when I was 20, 30, 40. And so I remember Adam Braun, he was the founder of Pencils of Promise, and he came on the ship and he shared a quote that changed my life. And it was, "You may be comfortable, but I'm free. You may be comfortable, but I'm free." And this blew my mind because I was willing to make that sacrifice. I was willing to sacrifice some comfort for freedom. And so from that day forth, I was a man on fire. I was obsessed with finding a way to make this new lifestyle, this traveling lifestyle, this going to markets lifestyle, a reality. And what I was really doing was I was trying to start something that mirrored me. And this is kind of a mind shift because what most people do is they get a job or they start a company and they build lifestyle into the parameters of that job. So they do something they love maybe on the nights or weekends or holidays. And I was saying, no, I want to put lifestyle first. Here, I want to travel. And how do I make this dream a reality? How do I build something that will allow me to do this? And so I looked around my cabin on the ship. We're about to get back to the States, and I had all these piles of stuff from all these markets I had been to. And there was a lot of fabric. And then I had remembered this vintage t-shirt company that my siblings and I had tried to start way back in the day, and it came to me, pocket t-shirts from around the world. And so we took our fabric, brought it back to my dorm room, and here's a look at our first fabric stash here. And this was like big inventory for us, right? This Target cubby was a big purchase for us, right? And we obviously had $0 left because we'd just been traveling, and I spent $400 on a carpet in Morocco. We had zero experience. This was our first logo, so clearly we didn't have any experience in design, no experience in fashion, and within a month of getting back, we launched Serengeti. And even though we were young and naive and we made every mistake in the book, what held us together and what got us over that hump is this mutual desire to break free, right? Is this mutual desire to get back out there, continue traveling, continue doing what made us come alive. But at the same time, it was a fear of getting sucked back into that more traditional track that no longer made sense to us and no longer jived with us. And underlying all of this was the idea that we wanted to make our lives a story worth telling. We want to make our lives a story worth telling. Because at the end of the day, being normal is overrated. Thank you.